Well, school was okay today. What should I do today? I like to think of something I never thought before. If it doesn't happen right away, I'll think a little more. I'll sit a little while, imagine what could be, and a new idea might come to me. I like to think of something new, something fun to do. Maybe solve a problem or fix a thing or two. If I sit a little while, I shall see a new idea will come to me. That's it! I got an idea! Alright, I need my camera for this, or in this case, my phone, which I'll grab right now. There are plenty of Thomas and Friends YouTubers who make very great content. Every single one of these YouTubers are very good in their own ways by creating very fun stories. But of course, there are some people who make a lot of stinkers. So that is why today I'm going to make a top 5 of worst Thomas fan stories ever made. Now, I'm going to go over a few ground rules first. Number 1. These will be in my opinion, okay? If you like a certain fan-made episode, then fine, your opinion. You're allowed to like any of these if you want to, but remember, these are just my opinion, alright? And rule number 2. Movies will be included in this list, okay? I know you guys might be saying, that's cheating. No movies, no episodes. Well, there's one thing that episodes and movies have in common. They're both stories. So that's why I'm going to include like one movie in this list. And I do mean one. I'm not going to include like all of them, but so yeah. Without further ado, let's begin the list, shall we? Coming at number 5 is Henry's Ghost, made by Kids Toys Play. It is Halloween on the island of Sodor. Well, at least I think it's Halloween. I mean, this was uploaded in October, so I guess it is. And the engines are telling ghost stories. And James tells the story of the brave blue engine. Well, it's Wilbur, but well, it was a story. And he is tasked with collecting a coach that has been left on in the middle of the line or at the end of the line or something. Wait, for some reason I have no idea. Did an engine forget the coach? Was the coach not coupled up? Who's responsible for coupling the coaches up? But on the way, he hears a wailing noise, a bright lamp, and a figure all in white. Or in this case, it's a ghost engine, but I mean, it's a story, so yeah. And no one has heard from the brave little engine ever again. Probably scrapped, probably got lost and ended up in an old shed or something and hide away for like many years, or he probably went to the mainland. Henry is scared that the story might be real, but because well, this is CGI Henry, not the classic Henry, because children love CGI Henry instead, the classic stuff, right? Just then, the Fat Controller came to see Henry because apparently somebody left a truck, or in this case, cargo car, because that's what they call the wood railway line. Anyways, there's a cargo car that's been left on the line, full of the Fat Controller's like sweets, or in this case, candy, because this is American. But the fact controller, of course, calls it personal belongings. And so Henry sets off for the cargo car. But then Henry hears a wailing noise and goes back to Timber Sheds. Because CGI Henry. He tells the other engines that he heard a wailing noise like in the story. But the engines are just like, just go get the cargo car no matter what. So Henry sets out again. And he hears the wailing noise, but keeps on going. But then he sees the bright lamp. And CGI Henry goes back to Tim Sheds. Henry tells the other engines that he heard the wailing noise again, and sees the bright light like in the story, and he refuses to go. So James decides to come along with Henry. Next time, don't interrupt me. You silly sirens. Okay. Anyways, so Henry and James they hear the wailing noise and see a bright lamp, and they see the figure in all white. Well, really, it's the man in the hills, but Henry wants to go back to the sheds, but James just wants to get sleep and get the cargo car so that well he can get some sleep. So yeah, the engines pushed on, and it was soon headed closer to the light and ended up face to face with. Yep, they be face to face with a narrow gauge engine. And Proteus explains that he was the light, Ivor here was the wailing noise, and Sahando explains that the figure in all white is the man in the hills. Sahando explains that the only reason why they tricked the standard gauge engines is because, well, they thought it was funny. I swear, this is just the hit era narrow gauge engines just dialed up. This is a hit era narrow gauge engines personas just dialed up way too high. And the rest of this is just a Cardo engines fight, just the narrow gauge engines versus standard gauge, just a diesel versus steamers. And for some reason, Gordon, Percy, and Thomas got involved. Like, what? When the Fat Controller realizes that none of the standard gauge engines were at Tim Sheds, he goes looking around and sees like the standard gauge and narrow gauge engines slightly derailed, but not the entire standard gauge. Edward, Emily, and Toby are missing for some reason, as well as like the other secondary characters, and yeah. Anyways, he asks Henry what happened. Henry is about to explain that the standard gauge and narrow gauge engines got into a huge fight, but then the Fat Controller is just like, no, I didn't. I don't mean what happened to you, because I don't care for your engines. I mean what happened to my candy, because apparently the Fat Controller likes candy more than his engines. Like, oh, and Wilbur appears at the end. Okay, so this story, it sucks. Okay, so first off, Henry is in a CGI persona, which I really do not like. Like, and also this is also a 3-strike spoiler. Henry like he has he sees or hears like the stuff like in James's story like 3 times. 2 times he went back to the sheds, and the 3rd time he wanted to go back, but James just pressed on. He still see and saw and heard the stuff in James's story. So yeah. And the narrow gauge engines, they're basically the hit era. They're just basically the hit era personas just dialed up way too high. I mean, for goodness sake. And also the fight is just the fight is not only dumb, but it's also like it's also the Colonel Engines fight. Just it's standard gauge versus narrow gauge instead of steam versus diesel. But it's still the same. And also, why are the narrow gauge engines why are they on standard gauge track? Is this meant to be a dual gauge part of the railway? I mean, last I checked, there was no dual gauge part of the railway. Well, yeah, there is the steamworks and the Blue Mountain Quarry and Ofsted Castle, but those are different. I'm talking about the main line part of Sodor, not the branch lines or whatever. But so if this was in the TV series, then the fight wouldn't happen at all. It would just James and Henry probably would have told Mr. Percival about their engines, and he would have punished them. That would have been a better ending than whatever the hell we got. Also, why did Gordon, Percy, and Thomas get involved with this? I mean, they didn't even know about it because they were at Tipper's shed. So how could they know? Did Henry tell them? Well, I'm not sure about that because I'm sure the Nugget just derailed him. I mean, if they got James, and they must have gone Henry too. Also, why did Scully push Proteus off the track? I mean, he's literally on his team. And also, I hate Thomas in this. I mean, he's just such a prick to Henry. I mean, listen what he says.
Somewhere right now. Stop being such a scaredy engine, Thomas said. There are no such things as ghosts.
Now, are there any positives to say about this? Yeah, there's always positives. Sometimes. Okay, and I do mean sometimes. I'll talk about that when we get to number 1. Anyways, I do quite like James here. I actually quite like when they get to the figure and all why he's just like, oh, that's not scary at all. And he did say creepy, but it was more in a sarcastic way. But listen to this.
There it is, the ghost. Creepy.
But you can tell that James isn't even scared. He just doesn't care. So yeah, I think James, I quite like James here. He's solid. I don't know why, but I kind of like Ivo Hugh here. I don't know, maybe it's just the voice that the dad's just put on him.
Oh man, we got you guys real good. Look how scared you are.
And I think my favorite bit is how the dad gives the handle his season 12 voice. But it's just so random, but it's quite funny.
That is the man in the hills. He is Mr. Percival's favorite.
But those don't really save this episode that much. So yeah, this really sucks. Henry CGI Henry, which we all hate. The Navigate Engines on hit era Navigate Engines personas just dialed up to 1 million. And the fight is just basically hot Colonel Engines. So yeah, but yeah, the reason why this is low is because again there's a few things I liked, like James, Ivo Hugh's voice and Sir Handel's voice. So but again, those don't really save that much. Moving on. Coming at number 4 is Wendell, or as it's now titled, Seaside. Like, why? Why did Train Boy 9705 retitle this? So at the beginning of the episode, the Fat Controller tells the bigger engines that the LMS has decided to keep the Iota Sodor, and they also load them 2 engines, Wendell and Lady. Lady we'll see in episode 10, but this episode is about Wendell, so of course Wendell is going to be in this episode. And Wendell puffs up. Edward left with his train. Gordon questions why he can't get his coaches, and the Fat Controller just roasted them like this.
Because you need to learn not to be lazy all the time. Henry, Gordon, and James were speechless.
Wendell works on his branch line, but then the track was out, and Wendell crashes, and also he was bouncing like while he was when he crashed into the sea. I mean, what? It's like the Bomber era. And the narrator just says that Wendell knows to be careful with his brakes. I mean, what? And then the episode ends. Okay. So it started off fine, but then it kind of just kind of felt a bit forced. Because I mean, there's literally like no story to this at all. Like there was a promise at the beginning where the Fat Controller tells the bigger engines about the LMS keeping the Iota Sodor and lowering them 2 engines, Lady and Wendell. But then it kind of falls flat when Wendell goes to work on his branch line because it's just basically like 30 seconds. Like, now, if I were the writer of this episode, I would add like, I don't know, like 3 more minutes to this. So let's say we have a little montage of Wendell like working on the branch line, and then he comes home that night and brags like he's the more reliable and roasts the bigger engines. But then the next day, he's like too busy like showing off or whatever, and he doesn't see the track was out, and then he would crash. Like, wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be better than to just like? And wouldn't that be much better than just having like no story at all? I find that to be much better. Well, maybe that's why Trainboy 9705 unlisted this. Look there. He clearly unlisted it. It's like this episode's not even canon anymore. So yeah. So Wendell, it started off well until it fell flat. So I think this one deserves a rewrite. Number 3, we have Rusty Blue Scrap Iron. So Handel hears Duke and Bertram talking about him and asks what they were talking about him, and Duke and Bertram just basically said nothing and just puffed off, and then Bertram says to Sahandel, Rusty Blue Scrap Iron. Of course, Sahandel is just shocked about this. Falcon tells Stuart about this, and Stuart jokes about by saying, "Why don't you play a trick on them?" And then Sahandel took that very seriously, and then when Peter Sam just says, "Wait, Sahandel, I was only joking." Sahandel was already gone. I'll get back to this in a moment. Sahandel's plan was to put the troublesome trucks onto the switch so Bertram and Duke would crash into them. Well, and for some reason, Bertram and Duke are racing each other. Like, why are they racing each other? And then we come to, like, probably the dumbest crush ever. Rusty arrives to clean up the mess. The Fat Controller comes in and tells Sahandel like why he derailed Duke and Bertram, and Sahandel explains because they called me Rusty Blue Scrap Iron, and then the Fat Controller has said that he should have told him, and then he could sell things, and he could have dealt with it. The Fat Controller unlocks Duke and Bertram in the sheds for like a few days as punishment. And the episode ends. Alright, let me get let's get to the main reason why this one sucks. Duke and Bertram are completely out of character. I mean, why would Duke and Bertram like insult Sahandel? I mean, Duke and Bertram have been on the Mid-Sodal Railway with Sahandel for decades. So why would they insult him here? Also, why would Peter Sam even joke about by like saying why don't you play a trick on them? Like, if this was the real Peter Sam, I'm pretty sure he would have said, I think the best way is to ignore them, Sahandel. Instead of just saying, why don't you play a trick? Because remember, Peter Sam is the optimistic engine, not the jokester character. I would probably use like Mighty Mac in this situation, because I mean, aside from bickering, is there any other character to them? Nah, I don't know. Yeah. Also, Sahandel's plan here is quite dumb. Putting trucks in the middle of the line. What if Duke and Bertram weren't coming? What if, say, Freddy was like coming down with a passenger train, and he sees the trucks and he doesn't stop in time? And he derails. So and 50 passengers they get injured. What if that happened? Also, I really do not like the how this was filmed. I literally see no jumps to the next scene here, the camera really goes back to where the crash had happened, and we can literally see the hand the narrator said that Rusty put the trucks back on the rails, but really the hand did it, and for some reason the hand they put the trucks back in the side. What? I don't know. Maybe the guy who was filming this he didn't have the pause and on pause button like I have on my camera app. So yeah. So overall, Rusty Blue Scrap Iron. It has a good. It does have a good moral of two wrongs don't make a right, but the execution could have been better. You know who I would have used? You know what I would have used? Hold on. No, hold on. If I was to if I rewritten this episode, I would have this be a standard gauge episode, and what character I would use instead of Sahandel, Duke, and Bertram? Well, Percy, as Sahandel. And as per, I don't know, Duke or Bertram, James. And as well as an OC of mine called Christopher, or Chris for short. So basically, he's like the same basis as like that one engine for like Toby's like Seaside trip or whatever. Like it's a railway series story. You guys if to those like who know that railway series story. So basically, Christopher's like is like a very rude engine. So yeah, that's who I would have used for Rusty Blue Scrap Iron. But yeah, so Rusty Blue Scrap Iron, good moral, but wrong use of characters, and as well as like wrong use of Gage. Should have been. I still wish it could have been a standard Gage episode with Percy, James, and Christopher. So yeah, I know Christopher is a TV series character, but I can't think of anyone else to use. I mean, I know you guys expect Gordon, but I mean, I do not. Me personally, I don't really like it. I prefer when Gordon's big brother signs out. I don't like it when Gordon's like always like grumpy and just a jerk. I mean, so yeah, that's why I'm not using him. And I know you guys are also expect Henry, but I prefer Henry's like more kinder persona, like we see that we see in like sample episodes, like Henry's Forest. So, and besides, he's green. So if he was to say Rusty Green Scrap Iron, he would be actually insulted himself. Or if James was saying it, then he'd be insulting Henry as well. But yeah, moving on. End of part 1. Part 2 coming soon.